Welcome to Classic Storytime Hub. Tonight, we unravel the chilling tale The Parasitic Hand by Anthony M. Rudd. This version has been carefully reimagined in English, crafted to grip you with suspense and horror like never before.
This morning brought the most unsettling case of my entire career. John Pendleton, a young real estate agent from Kansas City, came to me requesting a routine examination, or so I thought. He mentioned a peculiar growth on his left side. When he removed his shirt, I noticed a bandage strapped tightly beneath his arm. As I peeled it away, my breath caught. There, fused to the curve of his 11th rib, was not a tumor nor a deformity, but a hand, a fully formed right hand, its palm turned outward, fingers half curled as though waiting to grasp. It was no larger than that of an infant, yet disturbingly complete. "How long has this been with you?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. "Always," Pendleton replied. "I was born with it. But it hasn't always looked like this." I frowned. "Not the same size? Explain." He flushed, hesitated, then spoke with sudden urgency. "Doctor, I am no fool. I am educated, rational. But I swear to you, this hand has been growing. For months now, it has swelled inch by inch until it reached what you see today." A parasitic hand, yes, I had seen such anomalies before. But one that grew after maturity? That was beyond reason. Almost without thinking, I brushed my finger against its palm. Instantly, the tiny fingers snapped shut, gripping mine with startling strength. My heart lurched. These growths are usually lifeless, mere flesh without nerves. Yet this one clutched me like a living child. It took effort, real effort, to pry myself free. Even then, the hand continued to move, flexing, curling into a fist as though mocking me. Pendleton watched grimly. "That's what it does. Only recently. It clutches at my clothes, my bedding, anything within reach. I've had to bind it down, tape it against my body, just to keep it from tearing at me. Doctor, what is this thing?" I hesitated. The words caught in my throat. For the first time in years, I had no answer.
"Go on, Doctor," Pendleton pressed, his voice tight with unease. "They say it's some kind of parasite, but how can a hand, an actual hand, be parasitic? Why should it grow from me? I was born with it." I steadied myself before answering. "Pendleton, it's likely you were once a twin, at least in the earliest stage of life. Identical twins form from a single egg. Sometimes both develop equally, but often one grows stronger, consuming the other. In rare cases, fragments remain, a foot, a hand. What you carry is the remnant of the twin you absorbed." Pendleton's eyes widened. "So I'm two beings in one? Myself and whatever is left of him?" His voice faltered, then rose with sudden intensity. "Doctor, do you think the soul of that twin still exists? Could it be trying to awaken through this hand?" I dismissed the thought quickly. No, of course not. Yet even as I spoke, doubt gnawed at me. Later, as I photographed the growth and bound it in fresh bandages, his words echoed in my mind. If my theory was correct, Pendleton was the autocyte, the dominant twin, and the hand was all that remained of the parasite. But what of the parasite's essence, its consciousness, its soul? For 23 years the hand had lain dormant, lifeless. Now, suddenly, it grew. Could it be that Pendleton's maturity had loosened his dominance, allowing the suppressed twin to stir? Was this hand not merely flesh, but the first stirrings of a personality long buried, clawing its way back into existence? A chilling thought. Yet it explained the impossible. How else could one account for the growth? The photographs and X-rays lie before me. They reveal what words scarcely capture. A hand, fully formed in every detail. Carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, all present, all shaped with uncanny precision. A faint suggestion of radius and ulna trails off near the point of attachment, as if the bones themselves had been swallowed mid-creation. Muscles and fascia anchor into the intercostals beneath the 11th rib, fed by an intercostal artery. And there, a shadowy spot that may well be a ganglion, hinting at a nerve supply. June 15th, 1925. Pendleton returned today after a week away. I asked, casually, "How is the hand progressing?" His reply was curt. "See for yourself, doctor." He stripped off his shirt, and I removed the bandages. What I saw made me recoil. The hand had grown, twice its former size, now resembling that of a child 5 or 6 years old. Pendleton's expression was grim. "That's why I wanted you to see it yourself. What are you going to do with it?"
Remove it, I said with conviction, this week. It should not be a serious matter. But his eyes darkened with a strange, troubled light. "Doctor, you don't think that cutting it away would be murder? After all, isn't this what remains of my twin?" I forced a smile. "No, Pendleton. Think of it as a tumor, a parasitic growth. We remove such things before they become dangerous. Murder? Hardly." He hesitated, then spoke with unease. "I had a dream. My twin came to me. He said, 'You've lived your life at my expense. Now I want mine. Don't interfere. I will have my way.' And then I woke." I dismissed it with a pat on his shoulder. Dreams are natural echoes of our conversations, nothing more. Let's plan for 3 days from now. It's not a serious operation, but preparation is wise. He agreed quietly, and after a few more photographs, I let him go. July 21st, 1925. San Francisco. A telegram arrived from Pendleton. "Come back to operate. Urgent." My father's illness and death had drawn me away before I could perform the surgery, and the settlement of his estate kept me longer than I expected. I wired back, "On way in 2 days. Expect me by the 25th. July 26th, 1925. Cassia City. Pendleton met me at the station. His face was pale, his frame gaunt, his eyes haunted. Though the summer heat pressed down, he shivered uncontrollably. "Thank God you've come, doctor," he cried. "I'm losing my mind." I studied him. "You don't mean the hand?" "It's growing, doctor." His voice cracked with terror. "It's larger now, and part of the forearm has come through." I stared at him, unwilling to believe. Impossible. But Pendleton shook his head violently. "You know I'm no fool. This thing hasn't let me rest for a month. It twists, it pulls, as if it's reaching inside me for something. It's driving me mad." We rushed to my office. Pendleton tore away the bandages himself. "Look!" I recoiled. He was right. The hand had grown to the size of a strong adolescent's, and worse, the lower half of a forearm had emerged, jutting grotesquely from his side. July 27th, 1925. This morning, I removed the parasitic hand. I would never repeat the ordeal for any price. It was a nightmare masquerading as surgery. Pendleton lay under anesthesia, calm and unresponsive, but the hand was not. It writhed with its own will, animated by some dreadful vitality. Before the first incision, it clamped onto the wrist of a nurse with such ferocity that she fainted in horror. Later, as I raised the scalpel, the hand seized my own wrist. With shocking strength, it tried to force the blade downward toward Pendleton's heart. Only by letting the scalpel fall from my grasp did I prevent his death. I tried anesthetics directly on the hand, but they had no effect. In desperation, I stuffed cotton into its palm, looped a cord around its wrist, and ordered a nurse to hold it taut. Only by deceiving and restraining the thing could I continue. How absurd these words sound, yet the hand behaved as though it were a living adversary. Throughout the operation, it writhed and clutched, resisting every move. At the final cut, it tore free, dropped to the floor, and latched onto the ankle of the chief nurse. She shrieked, dropped her instruments, and fled the room, collapsing in the hallway. I rushed after her, pried the fiendish hand loose, and forced it into a jar of preservative. Even then it struggled, twitching with a grotesque vitality. Only when the lid was sealed did I feel a wave of relief. Returning to Pendleton, I removed every trace of the attaching structures and treated the remnants with X-rays, determined to destroy all possibility of regrowth. What should have been a simple half-hour procedure dragged into nearly 4 hours of horror. Brent, the intern, the nurses, and I were wrecks by the end. When the patient was wheeled away, we found the nurses collapsed on the floor, fainted, or utterly spent. Brent surveyed the chaos and muttered darkly, "Looks like a slaughterhouse today." I nodded, sank into a chair, and remembered nothing more. I believe I fainted as well. August 10th, 1925. Pendleton was discharged from the hospital. Only a circular scar remained where the parasitic hand had once clung. March 5th, 1926. Pendleton visited me again. His face was drawn, his eyes shadowed. "You're not sleeping well, my boy," I said gently. He gave a hollow laugh. "You wouldn't sleep well either, doctor, if you felt something clawing inside you." I stared at him in surprise. "What do you mean?" Pendleton's weary smile chilled me. Exactly what I said. Something clawing, pulling, right where the hand was removed. I muttered, unsettled. "That sounds curious." "Call it madness if you like," he pressed, his voice trembling. "But I know what I feel. It's as if a hand is inside me, gripping, shoving things aside, clawing at me. Doctor, that hand is coming back." I studied him sharply. No, he did not look delusional. Physicians know well how imagination can conjure phantoms, but Pendleton was not a man prone to hysteria. "Strip and lie on the table," I ordered.
He obeyed with a sigh. The scar was fading, almost vanishing. His abdomen showed a faint swelling, but nothing diagnostic. The stethoscope revealed only normal rhythms. Palpation gave no clue. "Let's see what the X-rays reveal," I said. March 6th, 1926. The prints showed nothing alarming, no congestion, no tumorous growth. Yet when I compared them with last June's films, I froze. The stomach had shifted nearly 2 inches to the right. Something was pushing it aside. In my astonishment, I dropped the print. As I bent to retrieve it, I saw what I had missed before. From a distance, the shadows formed a grotesque outline, a hand lurking within the body to the left of the stomach. I examined the film again. No solid structure,
No bones, no flesh, merely organs displaced, leaving behind the unmistakable silhouette of a hand. Not a physical entity, but a phantom. Could Pendleton be right? Had the hand returned, not in flesh, but in some spectral form? March 15th, 1926. Pendleton came again, pale and restless. He complained of stabbing pains, of breath that caught in his chest. I prescribed sedatives, though I knew they would not quiet the deeper terror clawing at him. March 20th, 1926. Pendleton was rushed to the hospital last night. A new X-ray was taken, and the results chilled me. The hand-shaped void had grown larger, pressing upward, displacing organs as though carving out its own chamber. The technician herself pointed it out. She saw it too. Yet there was no tumor, no mass, only absence, an outline of a hand, etched in shadow. What am I to do? March 22, 1926. Pendleton writhed in agony. "It's reaching for my heart," he groaned, clutching his chest. "Can't you do something, doctor?" I administered a strong sedative, though it felt like a futile gesture. Later, I conferred with Brent about the possibility of surgery. But surgery for what? There was no tangible growth, only a phantom hand clawing from within. When I informed the nurses of a possible operation, their faces drained of color. Miss Cummings, the chief nurse, trembled violently. "No, doctor, I cannot. I would faint with terror." Her assistants echoed her refusal. She broke down, sobbing. "I'll never forget how that thing seized my ankle. Don't ask me to face it again." I spoke gravely. "Do you wish Pendleton to die without a chance? He suffers, and the X-rays revealed too little. I must proceed on a guess. It is his only hope. That is, if you will do your duty." The words struck home. Miss Cummings wiped her tears, nodded faintly. "Very well, doctor. I'll try." Her assistants gave reluctant assent, their fear palpable. March 23, 1926. The climax approached. On my morning rounds, I found Pendleton awake, his face pale but strangely calm. "I slept quietly," he said, "but I feel different, as if something has been decided. Doctor, it's going for my heart. It wants my life for its own. Can't you stop it?" I reassured him, though my own confidence faltered. "Tomorrow," I said. "We will operate tomorrow." "Thank God," Pendleton muttered, his voice trembling. "I can't endure this much longer. Do you think you can rid me of it?" "I hope so," I replied. And though doubt gnawed at me, I forced a reassuring tone. "In fact, I feel certain I can. I've studied this matter thoroughly. I know what must be done." The lie steadied him. His shoulders eased, his eyes softened. I left him more cheerful than before and walked down the corridor to tend to other patients. Barely 10 minutes passed before a scream tore through the hospital, a strangled cry for help. I sprinted toward the sound. Nurses clustered at Pendleton's door, but none dared enter. Their faces were pale masks of terror. I shoved them aside and burst into the room. The bed was a storm of thrashing sheets and blankets. Pendleton writhed like a man possessed, twisting, convulsing, his groans echoing like the cries of the damned. Then, in a violent motion, the sheets flew back. Pendleton lay exposed, his face crimson, eyes bloodshot and bulging, staring with a glassy horror.
His mouth gaped wide, chin slack, tongue protruding grotesquely. He was no longer merely suffering. He was in the grip of something unspeakable. He's got me!" Pendleton gasped. His body convulsed, rocking in a grotesque rotary motion. A final scream tore from his throat. "Ah!" And then, with a violent snap, he stiffened upright before collapsing lifelessly onto his side. Pendleton was dead. My efforts at restoration were futile. The coroner, Dr. Bidwinkle, performed the autopsy with me assisting. What we found defied reason. The abdominal organs were displaced exactly as the X-rays had shown. Above them, the diaphragm was ruptured, the lung shoved aside, the pericardium torn open. And the heart, contracted, furrowed, looked as though a fully grown hand had clenched it with merciless strength until it ceased to beat. Bidwinkle stared in disbelief. "Of all the insane things!" he muttered. I told him everything. The case, the photographs, the struggle. He listened, then shook his head grimly. "Bernstrom, you and I don't know it all. Perhaps you're right. But if we speak of this, we'll be laughed out of the profession. Your X-rays, your witnesses, none of it would convince more than 1 in 10 physicians. Some things people simply refuse to believe. Why bother? I'll write the certificate as death from hemorrhage induced by internal rupture. Do you agree?" "Yes," I said quietly. "It will be better that way." But I could not resist one final demonstration. I turned to Pendleton's body, reached out and pressed the fingers of my own right hand into the grooves carved into his heart. The fit was perfect. Each finger, each thumb, aligned with the furrows. The phantom hand had claimed its victim.
And thus the story ended. If you liked this journey into the worlds of classic literature, do not forget to support us by subscribing so we can tell you more. And hey, if there's a classic tale you'd love to hear told in this suspenseful style, drop its name in the comments below. Your suggestion might be our next chilling adventure.